Hello, I'm Nardo D&D. I do all sorts of homebrew 5e D&D stuff, like converting old 3.5 D&D stuff into modern 5e D&D stuff, and today I have converted several races from the amazing setting Dark Sun from the far-off world of Athas to be able to be used for 5e D&D. As I start telling you guys about these Athasian races, it'll become very apparent that everything on Athas, including the plants, animals, and people, all have psionics, so that is reflected in these player races as well. So a quick rundown on how the basics of psionics are introduced by the Mystic class in D&D 5e. So a quick rundown of the psionics. Psionic disciplines are like a pool of spells or abilities you can do. If you know the psionic discipline, you can do any ability that is within it if you have the psi points and psi limit to do so. Now, psi points, these are easy. It's just a resource you spend to do psionic abilities from your psionic discipline. Just you got 5 points, you spend one, you do an ability, now you have 4 left. You get them back on long rest usually. Now, psi limit is just mildly more complex, like so mildly more complex. What it means is that it is the most psi points your character can use at one time. So with a psi limit of 1, that means you can only spend 1 psi point at a time. So if your psi limit is 1, you have an ability in your psionic discipline that costs 2 psi points to use, then you cannot use that ability because you're not good enough at psionics yet. You can only spend the 1, you're only stuck with the ones that only cost 1 to use for now. And the last part about psionics is a psychic focus. Each psionic discipline comes with a psychic focus, which is just a passive buff that you can turn on as a bonus action. Each character can only have 1 psychic focus on at a time. That's it. There's no more to it. That's the entirety of it. You can have 1 psychic focus on at a time. It doesn't cost you anything to do. It just you take your bonus action, you turn it on, and then that's just what you're focusing on. It doesn't take concentration. It's just something that's on in the background, and you have a passive little buff. Alright, that's everything you need to know about psionics. As a little preamble, little prelude to everything we're going to go over here with these races, because every single one of these races has psionic abilities, because everything on Athas is psionic. So let's kick off into the first race. The Athasian Aarakocra. Creature type is a humanoid. It's medium, 5 to 7 feet tall. They're a bit of large boys, but you know, still medium. Speed, 20 feet for walking, but 90 feet flying. They're pretty darn quick in the air, these bird boys. However, unlike the normal Aarakocran, these guys are not insect-like, meaning they do not have 6 limbs. They only have the normal 4, as most humanoids do. They have the 2 legs, and they have the 2 arms. The arms are where the wings are. So they have arm wings. So you can't hold items in your hands while you're flying. However, you may use your feet to manipulate any weapon you're proficient in while flying, including a bow, but you still need both your feet because it's 2-handed. Your fly speed is reduced to 60 feet if you're wearing light armor, because it's just harder to fly if you're wearing armor. 30 feet if you're wearing medium, and you just can't fly if you're in heavy armor. So it's just too heavy. It's too, like, how can you do it? It's too heavy. All Athasian Aarakocra suffer from claustrophobia. They are claustrophobic. You suffer disadvantage on attack rolls while there is not at least 15 feet of empty space above you. So a big enough cave, you're fine. You know, if the cave's big enough, if the room is big enough, the building you're in is nice and tall, you're okay. And lastly, the thing that's like defining of all Athasian creatures, they have inborn power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to one of the following disciplines: celerity, mastery of air, or bestial form. Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your psionic discipline ability for the psionics you manifest with this trait. That's just like your casting ability. It's the same as this. If anything says you need a DC or you need to do a hit roll, you use one of these abilities. Your pick, because all the race stuff is like you get to choose whatever you want, because you can make your character however you want, and it's very fun in that way. Now let's go over and see what celerity, mastery of air, or bestial form means. Let's start with celerity. So we can start with celerity, the psychic focus of which increases your walking speed by 10 feet. So if you just passively focus on that, you're as fast as a normal guy walking, which is pretty neat. You get to spend your 1 psi point in rapid step. It's the only one that you have the psi limit to use, and it lets you, as a bonus action, increase your walking speed by 10 feet. So you're a little faster. So that's pretty funny. If you have a climbing or swimming speed, it applies to that speed as well. So that's pretty goofy. It makes it a little faster. Who knew? The celerity one lets you move faster a little bit. So you focus your psychic powers and you get to go a little quicker. So that's pretty neat, pretty straightforward. Let's look at the mastery of air. The psychic focus for the mastery of air is while you're focusing on it, you take no falling damage and you ignore difficult terrain when walking. Very handy if you suddenly fall down a pitfall trap and your wings are too confined to fly. You, in addition, gain Wind Step. As part of your move on your turn, you can fly up to 20 feet for each psi point spent, meaning 1, so you get to fly 20 feet on your turn. So you might be thinking, well, this is worthless. Like falling damage, I'm a bird, you can fly anyway. Oh, fly 20 feet? Well, I have a fly speed. Why would I ever want this one? Well, now you can wang some heavy armor on your Aarakocra and still be able to fly as a funny joke, so that's pretty neat. You can trick people like, oh, this Aarakocra is wearing a full suit of plate mail. Oh, but how is he gonna fly? Boom, your mastery of air lets you fly around as a little treat, so that's pretty funny. And the last one is Bestial Form. So the psychic focus for this one allows you to have advantage on animal handling checks, which is pretty goofy when you're trying to like talk to a bird or a dog in the streets, which is pretty neat. You also gain Bestial Claws, which just lets you swipe a guy real hard within 5 feet of you, give him a nice D10 slashing damage. So nothing too crazy, but a nice little alternative for like an attack or something if that's like what you're into, you know, maybe do a little funny slasheroo. And I'm not going to go over any of the stuff that you don't have the psi limit for, or else we'll be here forever. And it's just like talking about potential, because you won't be able to get that unless you go into a class that has psi points and psi limits and all those things, unless you're a certain race that we will get to later. So that's all we get for the Athasian Aarakocra. Let's move on to the next one. The Athasian Dwarf. These guys don't have hair, which is pretty nuts. They're like naturally clean shaven and bald in Athasia because of the hotness of it. But anyway, humanoid, medium, 4 to 5 feet tall, like a dwarf, speed 30 feet, dark vision comes standard. Not as good as normal dwarf dark vision, but you have dark vision. Dwarven resilience, the normal stuff, poison damage. Yeah, you're fine with it. Advantage on poison stuff, very straightforward. You gain a focus. A focus is a very defining thing that Athasian dwarves get. You may declare a focus, and until that focus is completed, you may not declare another focus. Examples of a focus might be overthrowing the king, getting to Viridian City, or crafting a suit of rune armor. You have advantage on saving throws that would draw you away from completing your focus, like being charmed in a manner distracting you, or falling asleep when you could be working towards your focus. So those are the upsides. The thing with Athasian dwarves is they set their minds to something, and that is what they want to accomplish that. You can have multiple focuses across your life. It's not just like you get the one and then that's it forever. It's not, when you complete it, you can pick a different one and then go forward there. However, there's a little downside for some reason. Like, I don't think it's that good, but you still get a downside. If you die while a focus you have is not completed, your spirit rises as a hostile banshee. And the banshee's stat block is like, it's okay. Like, it could be a problem if you're like first level and you find yourself dead. Like, that could be a little troubling. But like later on, your party should be able to handle it. You may not be revived while the banshee roams free. So they're gonna have to like track that down, wang it back in your body if they want to try to revive you, or, you know, just write you off as like a expense to the task. That could be fine too. And as everything in Athasia, you're psionic. You have inborn power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to one of the following disciplines: iron durability or brute force. And the same abilities as last time: constitution, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma is your psionic discipline ability for the psionics you manifest with this trait. So let's take a look at iron durability and brute force. Your psychic focus is extremely useful and handy for this one. You gain +1 AC as long as you're focused on this one. Extremely handy. In addition, the thing that you can spend your psi point on, I also think is quite funny. It lets you use it as a reaction. When you are hit by an attack, you gain a +1 bonus to AC for each psi point spent, so 1. So it's like the mildest of shield spells. So you get 1 extra, increase your AC by 1 as a reaction. You can do that 3 times for long rest. That's just funny. I think that's a really strong pick, iron durability. It fits with the dwarf aesthetic of being like a hardy boy. Now let's go see what brute force does. The brute force, the psychic focus, gives you advantage on athletics checks, which is pretty like good for brute force. You know, if you're trying to push open the door, if you're trying to lift the ogre, arm wrestle the barman, you know, those kinds of things. Advantage, fantastic. You also gain brute strike, which lets you juice up your next melee attack with an extra d6 of damage, which is handy. And you also gain the ability to use knockback, which lets you juice up your next melee attack to knock someone back as well, which is pretty funny. And you also gain Mighty Leap, which lets you leap 20 feet in any direction with a psi point as part of your movement. So that's just handy as well. So the upside with brute force is you get lots of variety in things you can spend 1 psi point on. But the thing with iron durability is you get to be a little tankier, which is also pretty handy. So that's like a fun little choice between those two things. I think that is quite the flavorful choice that you have to make there. It really is the difference between hill and gold dwarves, or mountain dwarves, whichever one. But yeah, that's pretty neat. I like them. I think they're funny. Look at these pictures. Oh, that Brahm guy, what a hero. He drew them real good. Next is Athasian Elves. These guys love running. Like, they run all the time. They're all about running. So they usually stand a bit taller than the average elf. They're still medium sized, 4 to 7 feet tall. Speed of 40 feet, because they're fastest. They're just, damn, can they run. And these boys run. They have dark vision like an elf would, and they have elf running. If you move your full speed in a straight line, you may, as a bonus action, take the dash action. The extra movement granted by the dash action does not have to be in a straight line. When you reach 5th level, your speed increases by an additional 10 feet. So now your speed is just 50 feet all the time. And now you only have to move half your full speed in a straight line to take the dash with the bonus action. So if you don't have any other movement things, that means 25 feet in a straight line, and then you still have 25 feet to do whatever you want, and then you can bonus action gain another 50 feet. So that's another 75 feet of movement wherever you want before you spend your action. So you're quick, you're fast, you're just going. You also gain inborn power, because you know, everything on Athas is psionic. You gain 3 psi points on a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover in a long rest. You gain access to one of the following disciplines: Nomadic Step, Celerity, we already talked about Celerity, so we don't need to go over to it too much in detail, or Mantle of Joy. Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your psionic discipline ability for the psionics you manifest with this trait. So, Nomadic Step, what does that one mean? So elves in Athas are nomadic by nature. They like roam from town to town. They do a bunch of other funny things. So Nomadic Step, the psychic focus that it does is, after you teleport on your turn while focused on this discipline, your walking speed increases by 10 feet until the end of the turn. As you are propelled by the magic of your teleportation, you can receive this increase only once per turn. So after you teleport using the first psionic part, step of a dozen paces. If you haven't moved yet on your turn, you take a bonus action to teleport up to 20 feet per psi point spent on this, so it's 20 feet, to an unoccupied space you can see, and your speed is reduced to 0 at the end of the turn. However, you get the extra 10 feet of speed from your psychic focus, so it's like, you get a little more, which is kind of goofy. So it's a little teleport. You can like just appear somewhere else, a little mini Misty Step. You also gain access to Nomadic Anchor, which is just an extra benefit to the other thing. It lets you pick a point. You still have to be within 20 feet of it. However, you no longer need line of sight to teleport to it. So as long as it's 20 feet, it could be like behind a wall. Just set the Nomadic Anchor up, and then you can teleport back to it using your step of a dozen paces. It's entirely utility, just like a little teleport thing. We already talked about Celerity. It just makes them even faster. You can send your psychic focus to increase your movement by another 10 feet, so you can have the 50 feet straight from the get-go. There's a lot of movement. So Celerity might be like, you know, the winner's choice, honestly. However, what is Mantle of Joy? So Athasian Elves, they are like free spirits. They like the fleeting enjoyments of life. You know, they don't like being tied down. So they gain Mantle of Joy as a little psionic thing. Their psychic focus, while focused on this discipline, you have advantage on charisma persuasion checks. Because they talk to people. They're like, hey, why don't you buy this for more than what it costs? That kind of thing. They also gain Soothing Presence. As a bonus action, choose up to 3 creatures you can see within 60 feet. Each target gains 3 temporary hit points per psi point spent on this effect. So you can give 3 temporary hit points to 3 dudes in your party. Normal party's group of 4. This is perfect. You can buff up your little group with your psi points. You can do that 3 times because you got 3 psi points. What a fun time. This one's handy if you're already like comfortable with how fast you're going and you don't want to like really lean into it. You can just get a little bonus of like being like maybe the face of the party with the whole Mantle of Joy thing. Like maybe you're the charisma character. Like that could be very helpful. Just being able to focus and gaining advantage on charisma persuasion checks is incredibly handy for talking to people. And they gain one more thing, Elven Discernment. You gain proficiency in perception, which is pretty funny, and you have advantage on saving throws and checks caused by illusion spells. So the like check for an illusion spell, usually it has like a DC to like beat it when you're looking at something like, oh, this is not a copper coin, this is actually a gold coin. You were trying to pay more for this thing, you would say, and you'd see through it with your advantage on looking at funny through illusions. And you're also proficient in perception, so you're good at looking. You got good looking eyes. What do your elf eyes see? They see sand, because that's usually all they see in Athas, because there's lots of sand there. All right, and those are the Athasian Elves. Let's go to the next one. Oh, these are the funny guys. The true destined people of Athas, the Athasian Halflings. Creature type is a humanoid. Your size is small because you're a little guy. You're 2 to 4 feet tall. Your speed is 30 feet, and you have a 30-foot climb speed as well, because Athasian Halflings, They're a bit of like wild, jungle-dwelling people. They're basically one with nature. They don't eat plants because they love plants so much. They eat people instead, and other meat. They're entirely carnivores. It's like the Bosmer thing from Elder Scrolls, where the elves, they love nature so much that they're entirely meat eaters, which is very funny. You are wildly athletic as an Athasian halfling. You can make a running long jump or high jump after moving only 5 feet. You only spend 5 feet of movement to get up from the prone condition instead of half. It's a significant increase. You can maintain lots of your movement in that way. And you also gain inborn power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to one of the following disciplines: Bestial Form, Mastery of Wood and Earth, otherwise known as the best one, or Psionic Restoration. Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma is your psionic discipline ability. For the psionics you manifest with this trait. So let's go over and look at these things. We already know what Bestial Form does. It lets you claw someone real funny, and it gives you advantage on animal handling checks. So very straightforward, nothing really to go through there. Mastery of Wood and Earth. And there's a reason why I said this is the best one. You can focus on it, and that just makes your skin tough like wood, giving you 1 extra AC. So that's just strong. And it has, I think, the best single 1 psi point spent on a thing to give you, like, worthwhileness. It has Animate Weapon. As an action, your mind seizes control of a one-handed melee weapon you're holding. The weapon flies towards one creature you can see within 30 feet of you and makes a one-handed melee weapon attack against it, using your discipline's attack modifier for the attack and damage rolls. On a hit, the weapon deals its normal damage die, plus an extra d10 of force damage per psi point spent on this ability, which is 1. The weapon then returns to your grasp after it attacks. So you send out your spear, like, you're gonna be proficient in the spear. That's a d6 plus a d10 of damage, plus your psionic ability modifier in the damage as well. So that is significant damage for 1 psi point, I think. D10 plus D6 plus modifier is quite a lot, and I think that's quite good. I would use this as my main source of damage. After I attack 3 times, we need a long rest, I gotta get my psi points back. It's real fun time. That's all good and well. However, I think Psionic Restoration is actually just as good in a completely different way. So Psionic Restoration. The Psychic Focus. While you're focused on this discipline, you can use a bonus action to touch a creature that has 0 hit points and stabilize it. So that's just a quick, like, boop, you touch them and you stabilize them. Very straightforward. It's like Spare the Dying, but you won't need to have Spare the Dying. Maybe you pick a different cantrip if you have this. So that's just, it saves you some time. You also gain Mend Wounds, which, as an action, you can spend psi points to restore hit points to one creature you touch. The creature regains 1d8 hit points per psi point spent. So it's like a little mini Cure Wounds without the bonus modifier. So you have 3 uses of that per long rest. So that's just 3 extra, like, hey, get back up into the fight, and you give them a little touch, give them a little tickle, boom, that's a d8 of health back. They're awake, that's enough to revive someone from being knocked unconscious. So that's incredibly handy, and you get 3 uses of that per long rest. Very, very neat, very handy. And look what they look like. They're so funny. They're funny little guys. They just like run around in the trees. They got the climb speed. The climb speed's nuts. I think that's like really cool. Oh, you're also brave because you're a halfling. Like, all halflings are brave. That's just like a bit. I forgot to mention that. It's there. You saw it. You probably were more interested in the other 2 because they're cooler. So yeah, that's the Athasian Halflings. Very cool. They all usually have like giant mops of hair, which I think is very funny and neat. The best race. The best race in all of Athas. The #1 guys. The reason the whole planet is the way it is. The Athasian Humans. Creature type, humanoid. Size, medium, 4 to 7 feet tall, or, you know, whatever you can convince your dungeon master to be a human size. Speed is 30 feet, because why do you need anything besides the standard? It's the gold standard, after all. And you gain inborn power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. All your psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to any one psionic discipline. Any one psionic discipline. You can pick any one. There are 40 psionic disciplines, unless I counted wrong, because there might be 41 and I might have skipped over one. But there's a lot you can pick from. You're going to have a time reading through them if you want. However, your reading doesn't end there. You also gain growing power. You gain 2 psi points towards your psi point maximum every time you gain a level. Athasian humans are the most psionically awakened race in Athas. Out of the fair races, you know? There are, like, you know, the extra funny ones, but out of the good ones, they're the best one. When you reach 3rd level, your psi limit increases to 2. So now you can do all of the things that need 2, or the things that are like 1 to 7, you can now spend 2 psi points to increase the potency of them. And you may learn 1 additional psionic discipline of whatever you want out of the 40 ones. When you reach 5th level, psi limit increases to 3, and you may learn 1 additional psionic discipline. So humans, the best at adapting to their situation, and the thing to adapt in and Athas is to be psionic, and they are the best at adapting to be psionic because they are the coolest at psionics. And yeah, that's why I would say play a human if you want to get into the whole psionics, because you get a lot of it. And if you go into Mystic, you're going to have so many psi points, you're just going to do psionic stuff every turn. It's going to be so much fun. So there you go. There he is. This is the guy. I'm sure they never did anything bad, ever. Next one, Athasian Pterran, or Pterran, or Terran. They're like pterodactyl people without the flying aspect of that. You can think of them as the lizard folk of Athasia. However, they're not the lizard folk because the lizard folk all got killed by the humans. It's a whole funny story. Creature type humanoid, size medium, 4 to 7 feet tall, speed 30 feet, and you gain natural armor. When you're not wearing armor, your AC is equal to 13 plus the dexterity modifier, or 13 plus your constitution modifier, whatever you feel like at the time. Maybe you're like a big leathery Terran, you know? Maybe your skin's nice and thick, and you rely more on your constitution to protect yourself than your dexterity. But that's just fun if you want to do it that way. That's cool. Maybe you play a rogue where constitution's your main thing. Who knows? You probably don't want to do that. It's probably be bad. You gain teeth and claws. You may use your claws as a melee weapon that you are proficient in, dealing 1d6 points of slashing damage with them. In addition, your claws have the finesse trait and the vex weapon mastery. So that doesn't mean you know the vex weapon mastery. That means if you have weapon mastery, you can choose your claws, and then your claws have the vex weapon mastery. If you use your action to attack, you may use your bonus action to make a bite attack. The bite is considered a weapon you're proficient in and has the finesse property, dealing 1d4 points of piercing damage. So that's a nice little bonus. You get to bite someone whenever you take the attack action. That's just a little extra thing because you're like a savage creature. You're like a monster guy, a big lizard dinosaur creature. You bite things. That's what you do. And of course, because you live on Athas, you are psionic. You gain inborn power. You gain 3 psi points and a psi limit of 1. These psi points recover on a long rest. You gain access to one of the following disciplines: bestial form, we already went over that, mastery of weather, or brute force. Brute force, we already went over that one. So it's very straightforward to see what those two do. However, what does mastery of weather do? Mastery of weather, you have the psychic focus. While you're focused on it, you have resistance to lightning and thunder damage. So if someone's like zapping with the lightning, there's a big lightning storm happening, which is probably not going to be the case if you're in Athas, you will take less damage from the lightning and the thunder. So that's pretty neat. You also gain 2 things that you can spend 1 psi point on. You can use cloud steps. As an action, you conjure forth clouds, and you make a little staircase that you can reach something up to 20 feet up. It's like a little summitable little staircase, like the ones you see like moving towards like airplanes, I like to think, like the ones that they use to like walk up it. That's what I imagine it looks like, but it's made out of clouds, and you just create a little staircase you can walk up. It's very funny. You also can make hungry lightning. As an action, you lash out at one creature you can see within 60 feet of you with tendrils of lightning. The target must make a dexterity saving throw with disadvantage if it's wearing heavy armor. The target takes 1d8 lightning damage per psi point spent, or half as much on a failed save, which is pretty funny. It's just like a little bit of a d8 lightning. You know, you can do a little bit of lightning. It's funny. You're probably going to do the staircase thing. The staircase thing is so much cooler, I think. Staircase clouds, very funny. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this goofy guy. Wouldn't you want to be this guy? How would anyone not want to be this guy? And the last race we're going to talk about are the Athasian Half-Giants. These guys are half giant, half man, all boy. Oh wait, I said that wrong. Anyway, creature type humanoid, size medium, 7 to 9 feet tall. I know medium, they're still medium, like even though they're massive. Speed 30 feet. They are fire acclimated. You reduce any fire damage you take by your proficiency bonus. They have a powerful build because they're huge. You have advantage on ability checks you make to end a grappled condition. You also count as 1 size larger when determining your carrying capacity. That's just what powerful build does. It's just a thing. You're naturally psionic because you exist on Athas. You gain 2 psi points towards your total psi points. You recover all your psi points on a long rest. You gain the Stomp ability. You may spend 1 psi point to unleash a psychokinetic wave of force in place of one of your attacks. All creatures within 5 feet of you must make a strength saving throw against your DC of 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. On a failed save, the affected creatures are knocked prone and take 3d6 bludgeoning damage. So that's just a nice little AoE thing that you can do on your turn when you take the attack action. Because if you're a half giant, you're probably going to like taking the attack action because you clobber them real good. You just wang them. You're massive. You're a big guy. Usually you'd get like +8 to your strength score, but you know, that's not a mechanic in 5e or 5.5e. So you're just gonna have to make use of your psychokinetic wave that you do instead. But yeah, you're just big dudes. So half giants, they're usually like come with guys. That's like their thing. They're like, oh, as long as I get to fit in, as long as I got buddies, I'm okay with whatever. Like, what are we getting up to today? You know, like the happy dog guy, like your happy dog friend that you have. He's like, oh, where are we going? Where are we going today? I'll do whatever. I'll just, as long as I'm included. I just want to be, come along. I'm a come with guy. No, that's what the half-giants are like. That's like their personality-ish. They just like to be included, like to be part of something bigger, you know? They're good boys. They're good boys. Treat your half-giants with kindness. They're like an ogre in 40k. They're just like happy to be around, you know? And that's it. That's all of the Athasian races I have for you guys today. I thought that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you found enjoyment out of any of these funny guys. Subscribe if you want to see more. I'm making all kinds of D&D converted stuff and content and all kinds of things. Stay tuned. I might do like a live play at some point, which is going to be a lot of fun. I have a bunch of goofy guys that I'm sure know how to play D&D. That is what I am going with. They definitely know how to play D&D. The PDF for these races is in the description, so you can go and check that out. Let me know what you want to see next, either it be races, spells, other things to convert, things I make myself, more prestige classes if you're into that kind of thing. Just let me know what you want to see next. Check out the other videos. They're all great. Every single one. Masterpiece, 100 out of 100. Very good. Fantastic. Thank you to all the members that have been so kind and have told me so many cool things. I love each and every one of them. And if you want to be a member and have a little thank you at the end and have access to a few like member exclusive videos, go ahead and check it out. I think it's cheap. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Dogs can't look up, so let them know what's up there. Bye-bye.